Welcome to the Daily Beast podcast. I'm Joanna Coles, Chief Content Officer of the Daily Beast, and I have terrible lighting compared to Sam B. I have been watching this podcast on YouTube to talk to people who are engaging and leaving comments, and I'm horrified at how bad I look compared to you.
I think that is silly. And I want to introduce myself. I'm Samantha Bee, Chief Content Officer of Edible Flowers, which I brought for you to snack on. And perhaps that is the reason for this incredible inner glow that has nothing to do with this giant light that is facing me.
Sneak-eating flowers?
Sneaky. They're so delicious. You just pop one in your mouth and
oh my God, you're going to be on Meghan's season 2, aren't you? And I'm going to be left in the cold because I was more critical than you were of the show.
You know what? I would thrive on that show. I would thrive on that show. And in fact, I brought you a jar of my very own honey.
You did?
The honey that my baby bees
where is
birthed.
it? Where is it?
It's in my purse.
Okay. Of course, you walk around with a jar of honey in your purse. I'm very excited to have an edible flower, but I feel like first we have to get into it because there is a lot to get into.
There is so much to get into.
Yeah, and I'm wavering on Elon again because I know I go back and forth on Elon. I'm wavering. I agree his messaging is not good, but I spoke to a friend yesterday who'd been talking to Elon.
Was it the Nazi salute? I'm just wondering about the messaging.
The messaging is his weakest element. But she said she had been talking to Elon and she said that he's going to do this for 4 months. His thing is, I'm doing it for 4 months. I can't do it any longer than that because it's just going to mess with my business. But the thing that has, I think, surprised him and shocked him and made him think, is this the right thing for him to do, is just that his security now is out of control. It's so insane. The threats he gets. He's been living at the White House, sleeping at the White House, and he just gets death threats all the time, and all the people around him get threats.
Right.
Which is the opportunity cost of doing what he's doing, right?
Well,
is opportunity cost the right? Am I using the right? Is that the right use of opportunity cost?
I think it is.
It might not be.
Okay.
But the cost of it actually is immense.
Well, my follow-up question is has the time clock started on the 4 months? Because I would like to know that.
Yes,
the
I think the time clock is. Yes, I think we're sort of 6 weeks in.
Okay, so that counts toward the 4 months. Well, I await the end of those 4 months.
Okay, well, and who knows? Maybe he'll still be there in a year. Who knows? But I thought that was interesting that he had said he's not sure it was worth it.
I think
the impact has been so great on his own life. And I thought that was interesting.
Yes, and the fact that people are not buying Teslas and people who have Teslas are madly trying to sell them.
I gave my Tesla back. I told you I gave my Tesla back. Partly though because it didn't work. I
think it's very funny. Probably I made a face when you said that you're wavering on Elon Musk in the same way that last week when you said that Trump's performance was masterful. I made such a face. I wish we could screen grab
a lot of people who commented didn't like that.
Yeah?
But I thought he flattened the Democrats. He had total control of that room. And the more Democrats deny it, the worse it's going to be for them to get back up on their feet.
I'm making another face because I think that, when you look at we're talking about the congressional address, obviously, and certainly Democrats looked, they looked cranky and they had these dinky little signs and it was pretty embarrassing.
It looked like they were auctioning off democracy.
Okay,
it was ridiculous.
Then you look at the other side of the room and you just have these cackling idiots just clapping and standing. It wasn't exactly a flattering portrait of strength and democracy on the other side of the aisle. So I don't know. I think the whole thing was trash, if I may.
I might need an edible flower right now to give me... is there any sugar in those things?
God, no. Pansies. So delicious and so nutritious.
I'm surprised you even knew where to buy them because you were so withering about Meghan putting flowers on everything that I'm impressed you actually secretly knew exactly where to get them.
I knew exactly where to get them because I confess that I do like to bake and I have decorated a cake. Occasionally.
I've decorated cakes too.
But
I just wouldn't turn it into a television show because you grew up in England. This was a basic skill.
Of course.
You made a Victoria sponge almost every other day when you came home from school.
Just like the nuns of Call the Midwife. There's always a cupboard, there's always a tin,
Yep.
and there's always a Victoria sponge in it.
And I've told you, my mum still, at 94, makes 3 cakes. We always have 3 cakes, and the house stops at 4 o'clock for a slice of cake. And it's usually almond, which is my favourite. Coffee, which is tastes of coffee. It's not like bland, like American coffee cake, or Victoria sponge.
I love this so much.
Okay, moving swiftly on, we have Hugh with us.
I'm so excited.
To catch us up on what's going on with Trump.
Catch me up.
And what else do we have?
We have Iliza Shlesinger.
All I want is her workout details. She looks insane, and she's wearing these crazy leather pants, which I'm obsessed by, that don't seem to have anything to hold them up.
Well, they're like pantyhose with leather legs. I don't know how.
Oh, that's good description.
Is it? Yeah. They're really interesting. Her new comedy special is called A Different Animal, and I really liked it. And I really like her so much. So I'm excited to talk to her.
Well, and I want to talk to her about there's an amazing part in it where she suddenly starts squatting across the stage with an idea of a butt lip gloss that she's come up with, which is so funny. I just spit take. She's such an eccentric. I'm very excited to talk to her. And then, of course, we should try and get Craig and Michelle on from their podcast onto our podcast, because they're going to be talking about relationships.
I never like to hear about a competitive podcast. They're just
why don't we ride in tandem with them? It doesn't have to be competitive. People have got plenty of time to listen to things.
Oh, sure. Are you up to? I have a lot of travel coming up in my family. I'm going to France. Half my family is going to Nepal. I'm very
Why aren't you going to Nepal?
I don't want to go there. I don't want to do a hike that's difficult. I'm going to do a different hike, actually. I'm taking my daughter to France next week, and we're going to climb a different mountain. We're going to climb a mountain of camembert.
Oh, how delicious.
Oh, God.
So jealous. Lots of baguettes, camembert, fashion, I've got tons of fashion tips for you from, I know the best resale stores in Paris, actually.
Oh, my God. Okay.
Yeah,
that's
and you
delicious.
really can pick up fantastic things there, because French women wear something and then just, pass it on immediately.
Of course, it just falls, that beautiful foulard just falls off their body in the streets, and someone collects it.
You have to squeeze your way into it. You're like, you think this fits? I can make this fit.
I love that a size 6 in France is basically like a -2 in America.
Yeah, of course it
Impossible.
is. Yeah, it's like Marks and Spencer's in the UK changed their sizes. British bottoms got so much bigger, but everybody was depressed about it, so they just made the size of the lingerie smaller, so people felt great about themselves, and they were like, "It's amazing, I've put on weight, but now I only need a size 8."
Do you think people listen to this podcast in Canada? Canada's in a tizzy. Everyone I know. We've got Mark Carney now. Everybody's all...
Mark Carney, the former governor of the Bank of England.
There's a real frisson in Canada right now. People are very, very angry. I'm hearing about it constantly. Everyone's blaming me for Trump. Everyone's like, what are we going to do? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm trying to get my passports in order.
So who is... The question I really have is asking for a friend.
Yes.
Who is Justin Trudeau dating now?
Oh, how would I know that, Joanna?
I sort of feel like all Canadians, like all British people, know each other.
I think that's less true than you think. Canada's a very wide place. A very wide place.
It is wide. It is wide. Okay, but is it deep?
It's wide, it's deep, it's tall, it's all of the things.
I still feel like we haven't quite gotten to the bottom of that story of why Justin Trudeau and his wife split up while he was still in office. It doesn't quite make sense to me. It's unusual.
I don't know, but all I know is there's turmoil over there and everybody wants to know where to put their money. And I said, I don't know, guys. Everything's a Ponzi scheme. I don't think anything is safe anywhere globally. So good luck to us all. Good luck and God bless.
Yeah, good luck, America.
Anything going on with Melania that we should key into before we
Well, I think
begin?
she's disappeared again, hasn't she?
Disappeared.
She's disappeared again.
She just faded right back into the bush like Homer Simpson. She just retreated right back into the hedge. She's gone.
And interestingly, Michelle is emerging. Michelle is emerging as her own broadcaster with her podcast. When we said Michelle and Craig, obviously we meant Michelle Obama, just in case people didn't understand. And Craig Robinson, her brother.
Yes.
And they're doing a podcast about relationships and divorce and freedom. I think his divorce not hers.
Right.
And so Michelle is moving to the foreground, which may worry Donald Trump, because as we know, he was very concerned she might be a candidate against him.
I am actually so confused about why people think that Michelle Obama is going to step forward and run for office on any level. And believe me, I am a person who is looking for that one true, clear voice to speak about politics right now. I am looking for a leader, but she has expressed in 10,000 ways that she is absolutely totally not interested in taking the mantle. And so I'm taking her at her word. I don't know why I nominate Pete Buttigieg. He's very good at speaking. He's an excellent communicator. We should have him on.
We should have him on. That's a very good idea. Okay, well, let's see if we can get him on for next week. All right, so what else do we need to discuss? Or are we ready to bring on Hugh?
Oh, let's bring on Hugh.
Should we bring on Hugh?
Yes.
Okay, do you think he's going to eat a flower? If you can get Hugh to eat a flower, a doughty Scotsman.
Have you seen Hugh's complexion? He eats so many flowers. I'm certain of it.
Yeah, he might have a flower smoothie. Welcome back. We are joined now by my favourite colleague, the executive editor of the Daily Beast, Hugh Dougherty. Hugh, what the hell is going on?
Well, Joanna, Sam, thank you for having me back. Joanna, I know you say that to all your favourite colleagues.
I do, actually.
Quite rightly. We have loads of people to choose from. What is going on? Where do we want to start? Do we want to start with Elon?
I think so. As I said to Sam, I'm still wavering on Elon.
Back and forth.
I know.
So many winning
I hate
qualities.
the messaging, but I like
Well,
I like the urgency he is bringing to something.
Oh my gosh. All right.
well, maybe we could talk about a couple of numbers that might mean something about Elon.
Okay.
And then a theory that's no more than a theory, but I think one that we should get out into the world. So some numbers from Elon. He's got 14 children, as we know. But he's got $100 billion less than he had when he started supporting Donald Trump openly. So it's been a bit of a topsy-turvy week, a bit of a topsy-turvy 6 months, and this week we have seen Elon get a whole display on the front lawn of the White House. And just to run you through some numbers, he had 4 cars out on show. It was the Pennsylvania Avenue Auto Mall, and he had Donald Trump shilling his cars.
Can I just make a point? I am worth substantially less this week than I was last week when I look at my 401k. So I'm not saying my numbers are the same as Elon's, but I'm very sympathetic to the significant drop in the market, shall we say.
Everybody has been exposed to these markets.
Right.
And what's unusual about Elon is he might be somebody that's driving those markets down. The whole tariff chaos that's erupted has seen a big sell-off in the Dow Jones and the S&P and whichever index you choose, and particularly in Tesla's share price. And Donald Trump is out there doing his best to support Elon, which takes us to another number. 53% of people don't have a favourable view of Elon Musk. So there's a new poll out from CNN and SSRS, and what it says is Americans don't think he's a person to handle government. They don't think he's a person to handle economy. And I know you're both have a 4-month theory about Elon. The big question for Trump is this going to start dragging down his view of Elon? Is Trump's approval going to start going down? Because Trump's approval remains actually quite high.
Well, and also for the president, Elon is incredibly useful because he's doing the dirty work for him, right? He's taking on the deep bureaucracy. He's trying to cut government. And actually, I take the point of the figures that you just gave us, but most people are hugely in favour of cutting government because people think it's more bloated, probably, than it is.
Well,
Sam wants more government.
Well, listen, I mean, a lot of government work is kind of make work project. It's keep people employed. It's a very important function of government jobs. I'm Canadian, and that's why I see it that way. But I really do, and I think people's opinions change when they start getting weird letters signed by Elon Musk asking them to justify their jobs and tell me 10 things you did that were useful at your job.
Five things, not even 10.
Not even 10.
Right, 5.
It's, I think people are very shocked. My worry is that none of the metrics that seemed previously important to Trump in terms of his popularity and his numbers and the the condition of the stock market seem to be moving him anymore. Like none of those traditional movers seem to be changing his opinion of the way things are going. Is this correct?
Well, Trump said, unusually, Trump has been, as everyone knows, a very public voice about the markets.
Yeah.
And everybody knows that he's a fanatical follower of where the Dow Jones is.
Sure.
To him, it has been a barometer of popularity. This week, he said, I'm not following the markets. And while nobody really believes him, that's certainly a different position to take. It's something he never dared to say in his first term. The other thing that people around him are saying, particularly Howard Lutnick, who is his commerce secretary, is this is worth it. And that's a message that Elon is also projecting, that there have been words used that include a detox period, turbulence. None of those sound like good things. And now there's a messaging that maybe this is worth it. Now, because this is Trump land, nothing is ever simple. And we're now hearing murmurings inside the White House's inner circles that Howard Lutnick is overstepping the mark and that he's saying things that are not sensible. And sources close to Trump have been telling reporters in the White House that Lutnick does not appear to know anything about the economy or about tariffs. So because Trump being Trump always goes on how people rate on television, Lutnick is doing a lot of television, but every time he speaks, he's giving ammunition to his critics.
Right.
So it may be that he's the first person that gets overboard.
Well, and it's certainly true that when you watch Howard Lutnick, he looks giddy on the excitement of his newfound celebrity, because he's a guy that people in the business people on Wall Street knew who he was, and he has a mixed reputation. But you can see him getting incredibly excited by being on television, and you watch that sort of bounce when people first become famous and they can't sort of keep it under control, and you can sort of see it playing out in him, actually.
People are so tired of the unpredictability, and we are not even, how many weeks into this presidency are we?
We're just past 50 days, Sam.
I mean,
I know it feels like longer.
I want to know what to do with I'm getting really close to needing my retirement savings. Do you know what I mean? I'm getting a little older.
You have to move back to Canada. That's what you're going to have to do.
Oh my goodness. Well, Canada's in turmoil too. These
that's true.
market whipsaws
But at least you get healthcare in Canada.
You do get healthcare in Canada. I know. I want healthcare here. That's a pipe dream. Can you imagine? I'm laughing at myself for even saying it.
It's just, it's fascinating.
But
I don't know what to say.
It's
On the
terrible.
subject of Canadians, of course, Elon Musk briefly was a Canadian.
Yes,
And
that's right.
He's a child of Canadian mother. He was beginning of his education was in Canada before he crossed the border to the United States. And I want to introduce a theory about his appearance. That Joanna's wearing a particularly colourful coat.
Thank you.
And
2 people commented on this coat this morning, and I took an Uber, so there weren't very many people I passed. And one of them said, bravo, I think. Bravo, madam, for wearing that coat.
It's a showstopper.
Well, I think they were saying bravo because I was brave to wear it. And they were like, bravo, madam,
Wow,
bravo.
you really took a risk. What a swing.
I took a risk. Thank you.
so Elon is somebody that we can track some of his relationship with Trump by what he's been wearing. And you remember that the first time he appeared with Trump on stage in Butler in Pennsylvania, he was wearing an Occupy Mars T-shirt. And we know
An
thanks
ill-fitting T-shirt, I think it's fair to say.
We know
because it
thanks to the-
exposed
Yes.
some belly.
Tummy.
And thanks to the author Michael Wolff, who I will just preface that the White House have described Michael Wolff as
A lying sack of shit.
That's a lying sack of shit.
Yeah.
He relates that Trump said, what the F is wrong with him and why doesn't he wear a suit? Now, Elon, you'll also remember, was in the cabinet room and he was standing up and he was wearing what one of my colleagues described, perhaps slightly darkly, as a Columbine coat, and his dark MAGA hat and a T-shirt underneath. And again, after that, this was like the
Which
moment
said
of
tech
his peak
support, the
power.
T-shirt, right?
Yes, sorry.
I thought that was
tech
very
support,
funny,
which-
tech support. Because I'm sure Trump has no idea how to log into his... Well, he doesn't even have a phone,
Are
right?
we logging that as a positive toward Elon
No,
Musk?
I just thought it was funny that he was wearing a T-shirt saying tech support when he's Elon Musk. come on, people. We can't entirely lose our sense of humour.
I'm just remaining very fair and balanced.
Okay, good. You report, we'll decide.
Exactly. But after that, there were beginnings of murmurings that Elon had begun to overstep the bounds, and that in Trump world, there is only one king, there is only one star, and it's Trump. And murmurings got around of why is he not wearing a suit. The next time we saw him in a big public setting was at the address to Congress last week, and he was wearing a suit. He was wearing a tie, and
he didn't have a child with
he
him.
did not have an emotional support child with him. It was
An emotional
completely
support
different
child.
appearance. Fast forward a bit. This weekend, Elon Musk went on Marine One and Air Force One to Mar-a-Lago, so we got to be able to see what he was wearing, and he was kind of halfway in between. He was wearing a jacket, apparently ripped from a suit, maybe a sport coat. He was wearing a t-shirt, and when he opened up his jacket, you could see that it was from Brioni, which of course is the outfitter of Donald Trump. He's long got his suits there. There's long been concern that they're not the best fitting, but he's now dressing a bit like Trump. And then this week, we saw him out on the Pennsylvania Avenue Auto Mall with the emotional support child X at his side, and he was back kind of halfway in between. He was wearing a t-shirt which was promoting self-driving Teslas that are, he says, coming next year, the Cybercab, but he was wearing the jacket, and his son, of course, was modelled on him, as people
Well, his son
noticed.
always wears a suit, strangely.
Well, what was he wearing when he had a spat with Marco Rubio?
Well, Sam, we don't know. And that spat with Marco Rubio seems to have marked possibly the high point of Elon Musk's power and the moment that Trump has begun to rein him in. And we saw the semiotics of the display at the White House were really interesting because Trump was absolutely out there. He listed off the prices of the Teslas.
Which he was reading from a thing, right? Oh, you've got a picture of it.
I've got a picture
Yeah.
here. And
Oh, God. What are we
somebody,
doing?
we don't think that is Trump's handwriting. Somebody wrote down
Oh, that is
all
not
cars are
his handwriting.
self-driving, just needs to be turned on. When Trump got in, he said, "Wow, computer." So I'm not sure.
He said, wow, comma, computer? Okay.
He looked,
Great.
he sat down inside. He said he's not allowed to drive, which is true. Presidents and former presidents aren't allowed to drive. He sat down and he looked at the display, and I think most people have been in a Tesla. They've seen there's a screen.
It's like driving an iPad. Driving a Tesla is like driving an iPad, and they are fantastic cars when they work. I just want to say I bought one. I was very excited to have one, and it stopped working. And then I was told it was from a rogue batch.
God, we've
And
been
there was no
depressing.
Trump did not mention that rogue batches are a risk. He did say that you can get them for as little as $35,000, and asked Elon, "What's that all about?"
We've been blessed with such an orator. Wow, computer.
And what's that all about? A good question, which Elon didn't actually answer.
So is Trump trying to give Elon an ad for his cars because he's acknowledging that actually in doing this for the country, in doing what he's doing for the country, Elon has actually lost $100 billion worth of personal value, and he's trying to help him. Is that what's going on here?
Absolutely,
Right.
some element of that. Trump said he's been unfairly persecuted, and he used language that we used to hear Trump using about himself, about persecution. You remember Trump was shouting witch hunt for the best part of the last 10 years. But that suggests that Trump here has slightly more power than Elon does, and he's inviting his followers to give some of their money to Elon, really out of pity. And I'm sure...
Well, Elon's had $40 billion in government subsidies for Tesla and for SpaceX,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
That's
if they
part
just-
of why he's doing
If they just
this.
ended his government subsidies, I think Doge would have saved much more than that.
Right, no need for Doge.
No need for Doge. I mean, that's
away
the
the
solution.
chainsaw.
Yeah, put away the chainsaw.
But then
Stop.
somebody's got to get those two poor people back from space, right? NASA can't bring them back.
Well, Trump's already offered some insight into what
I
he
liked
thinks
his
is going
comments
to
about.
happen.
I liked his comment about the woman's hair.
I didn't.
He was like, she's got big hair, a lot of hair.
again, what an orator.
She hasn't had a haircut for a year.
He thinks they'll fall in love, and I just point out because they are.
I don't think they're
NASA
falling in love. I
astronauts-
don't
No,
think they're falling in love.
We ask them when they're back, but because they're NASA astronauts, he is technically their boss.
Oh,
So-
interesting. And no HR. I mean, it's a very interesting HR. What happens if they do fall in love? Is that it's a work relationship?
I imagine we will see a live stream courtesy of the
I
White
hope they
House.
do fall in love.
What type of ocracy are we living in? It's definitely a kakistocracy. It's a kleptocracy. Is there like a definition of what the time period that we're living in? How will we reflect on this historically if we have a future that enables us to look back on this time period?
I'll defer to Joanna. Surrealocracy?
A beastocracy.
A beastocracy.
Oh my
A beastocracy, I
Beastocracy.
think.
And I'll just offer one plug that The Swamp, our brilliant gossip-filled newsletter, has one thing that I think we should all keep an eye on in the next few weeks and the next few months. Elon Musk isn't the only billionaire that Trump listens to. And right now, it looks like he does he listens to Musk. He absolutely has him at his side. But there are other people who are flexing their influence and are making clear that they want to be listened to about what happens to the economy, about what happens to the markets. And one of those people that we note in our latest edition of The Swamp is Larry Fink, who's the BlackRock billionaire. And he has managed Trump's money in the past, or parts of it, and Trump likes what he did to his money. And there's a big opportunity for Musk's enemies, and Steve Bannon obviously is the top enemy here, to come after Musk and say, well, you can't manage your own money, you're harming the economy, there are other people to listen to.
What about Jeff Bezos, who's, I think, second richest man and obviously way behind in terms of Blue Origin? They've spent an enormous amount of money on that. Elon's rockets are better than Jeff's. Is Jeff trying to get Donald Trump's ear too, or is he just trying to lay low? Because I'm fascinated by the fact that obviously he bent the knee, went to the White House for the inauguration, or went to Congress for the inauguration, and of course Amazon remains the biggest purveyor of anti-Trump material.
It's very hard to know what Trump thinks so far about Jeff Bezos. He's said nothing. He's had him for dinner. There's no doubt that he welcomes the MAGA turn that Jeff Bezos has asked for in the Washington Post's opinion pages. And in a trawl from the White House podium this week, Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary, congratulated the Washington Post on a reorganization. And it was really a very minor change in newsroom structure. But they want to highlight that Trump appears to have power over Bezos. And Bezos has not been known to be directly advising Trump, but he has huge amounts of interest in front of the government. Trump can't be happy about the way that Amazon, as Joanna, you rightly say, is one of the places to go to get a load of anti-Trump material. Amazon is selling everything. And I know, Joanna, you watched the new documentary on Katharine Graham that brilliantly portrays somebody not bending the knee at the Washington Post.
Yeah, it's an amazing documentary. I strongly recommend it. It's really about her running the Washington Post through both the Pentagon Papers, her decision to publish the Pentagon Papers when the New York Times couldn't publish the second and third part of them, and then obviously standing up to Nixon. And the parallels are extraordinary, and it's so weird that this is playing on Amazon Prime when you're like, Jeff Bezos is now, was sold the paper for $250 million by Don Graham, Kay Graham's son, and they are running the documentary which undermines everything that Jeff Bezos is doing with the Washington Post.
Well, I will say this. I was on the Amazon Video, on the app on my television. I turned it on yesterday to watch something else, and they're showing, and it is like the full front page are old episodes of The Apprentice.
Yep.
So, you
So
can
Jeff
have it
Bezos
both
is
ways.
having both ways. I mean, super interesting. I can't believe that the Trump people haven't twigged to it.
I think
Or maybe they don't care.
Trump knows that all of this is about great television. We saw that in Zelensky in the Oval Office. And at the end, how did Trump sum up this amazing moment in international relations? Well, that was great television. And to have billionaires fighting out in public over their affection or otherwise for Trump, that's what Trump feeds off. And when the Elon show is beginning to fade, and maybe it is, we're going to see somebody else brought in. It's the TV producer instincts that Trump has are going to keep projecting forward into new personalities and new characters. And of course, being Trump, bringing back old characters.
Right, so
There's
Elon-
nothing he loves more than a reunion show.
Oh, so interesting. So Elon will be fired. on with the new character. Hugh, thank you very much. Always interesting to hear what you've got up your sleeve.
So interesting.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for the edible flowers.
Would you like
please.
a flower to take on your way? You look
your hair.
hungry.
I will enjoy one with my lunch.
Put it in your pocket and have it for lunch.
Yeah, put it on top of your sandwich. Actually, to be fair, Hugh brings beautifully chopped salads every day from home. He does.
I do actually.
He does. I'm the one that goes out to the deli for the sandwich.
I like
Not
that.
great catering options, right?
I love bringing my own lunch to things. I've got snacks in my bag
Can't
right
imagine
now.
anything I'd less like to do.
Well, that's the English.
We're back and we're excited to be joined by this week's Beast of the Week, Iliza Shlesinger. Iliza is a comedian, she's a writer, she's an actress, she's known for her razor-sharp wit, high energy startup. She first broke out as the winner of Last Comic Standing and has since become a powerhouse in comedy with multiple hit Netflix specials, and now she's bringing her unfiltered humour to A Different Animal, her brand new special on Amazon Prime. From tackling relationships to gender dynamics, Iliza never holds back. Iliza, welcome to the show.
I love being your Beast of the Week.
You are our Beast of the Week.
are.
And I have one question for you, which is what the hell are you wearing in your Different Animal? Because it's like Sam said, it was half pantyhose, half chaps.
Like a pantyhose
That's right.
with like long, tall boots.
They
I'm
are
obsessed.
Okay, good.
And I think you should make a line of them. Your equivalent of Meghan Markle's jams. You're going to be wearing
I'll just make
slightly
3.
dominatrix leather.
Yeah, no one
leather
can buy
things.
them.
Yeah.
I found those pants, as one does, late night scrolling on a Spanish rave wear website.
Stop it
Interesting.
right now.
Because I'm always like, oh, what's like a fun thing? I saw them and I was just like, and I hadn't had my son yet, and I was like, it's those pants. And in my mind, and still to this day, I was like, these are just cool. Like, I didn't do it to shock anyone. I was just like, I could wear that.
Right.
And so I had my son, and all women should feel that way. Like, I can wear that.
Yeah.
And after I had him, I was working out, and the goal was to look good in the pants. And my trainer, I would like lift my leg. She'd be like, and one, pants. Like, she would always just say pants. Like, keep them in mind. And I thought they were just cool, and I didn't realize how divisive they would be and how angry people would be that I wore them.
Wait, people are angry about the. Oh, well, they're
pants
angry
are
about everything.
People are
Fantastic.
impressed. They are fantastic.
They're fantastic.
It's a bit of theater.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And it was fun. And it's like a rock star thing to do.
But also, huge congrats on the abs. I mean, what the hell? How do you get those abs 8 months after you have a baby? And now I understand it because you're trying to get in the chat pants.
I just cut the chat pants. I'm going to give you the answer that the internet doesn't want to hear.
Okay.
And the answer is I worked really hard.
Okay.
Yeah. How,
no, I
like
don't
2
wanna hear
hours
that.
a day?
No, just I do Pilates. I would do it 1 hour a day, maybe 4 times a week,
Right.
like with a trainer, and I didn't really drink much, which is the other thing no one wants to hear.
Right.
But I really worked at it with the focus of getting back in shape. And I know we're not supposed to, as women, say that. We're supposed to just embrace it. But the standard for myself is I want to feel good and I want to look good, and that's the way I want to look. And I wanted to wear those pants, so I did.
Goal pants, rock star
I mean,
pants.
but also it's so your physicality is so part
Yes.
of the show. You can't not look at you when you're up there. So the work is incredible.
Yeah,
the work
you
was worth it.
literally
thank you.
prowl the stage. I actually loved your special so much.
Thank you so much, Samantha
I
B.
loved
that's
it.
a very high praise.
I've been a huge fan for a long
It's
time.
not
and I
high
feel
praise. She
like-
says this all the time
No,
to
I
people. She's
don't.
like, I'm a big fan, big fan.
I listened to. I actually watched your special last night in the kitchen, and I was so glad that because I have three. You have two kids.
I have two,
You have
yeah.
2 kids. I have 3. One, and they're all kind of teenagers now. So my 14-year-old was there, and she was listening to the special too. And I was like, "This is your voice is so true and so clear." And I was really happy that she was. Because you talk so much about body image, and I actually think you talk about it in such a healthy, like totally well-rounded way.
Thank you.
And I was like, "Fuck yes, I'm glad."
Yeah.
My
Well,
goodness, you're.
And there's a moment where, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
did you see what she did then? Like, you've got 2 children. I've got 3. I've got 3.
I've
so
got
she's
3.
got one
It
more.
is it's a
so,
competition.
competition.
Yeah, it's a competition.
Who breastfed best?
No,
Not me.
But there's a bit in the show where you have a very funny joke, which I don't want to spoil for people if they haven't
Spoil
seen
it. Tease them.
But, well, it involves you doing squats across the stage.
I
and
did
I was
make that
just,
choice.
I was
Yeah.
breathless. A, the joke is so funny.
Yes.
And B, the physicality of it is incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I do think as a performer, because at the end of the day, we are artists and we are performers, and I believe in putting on a performance. This is not a choice that I make. This is like a physical manifestation of the dialogue in my head, and so it comes out. I work out, but I'm not an athlete. I didn't go to school and play sports at a high level. I mean, I play sports growing up, but I'm a very physical comedian.
Right.
Not pratfalls, but just in terms of and I think anybody who's like a theater actor would get this, just embodying like it. And that's why I'm always like hunched over. Like I so badly want the audience to get what I'm getting, to see what's in my head. And so those squats, just sometimes you need to illustrate it with your body.
Well, it was so well done.
So organically comes out of your body. I like remember in theater school that I had a movement teacher who was like, make sure you feel your back. Like, and it was, I never ever forgot that. It was like, I feel you very three-dimensionally in this space. Like,
You're also over 30, you're like, I'm always feeling my back.
I feel my back, I feel it. But like, and you can see yourself really feeling up. What is your process? Like, how do you actually work an hour? Like, what does that look like in your life?
So, obviously every comic is different.
Yeah.
I write my own material in that it is all mine and I create it, but I don't write it. Like, I don't write it down.
Okay.
So it's all mental. I might write down a word or two to jog my memory.
Yeah.
But I get up a lot.
You do.
We were talking off
What do you
camera.
mean you get up a lot?
Sorry, I go on, I do sets. I run sets, like locally. So I live in LA. So multiple nights a week, for multiple shows a night, you will find me at the Comedy Store or the Improv or some alt venues, which I love. Love an alt venue. Love a curveball of an audience. And I just run these ideas and I run chunks. You do 15, 20 minutes at a time. If I want to run the hour, I can. So you're constantly rehearsing it, but with the intention of finding nuances, cracks, what works, what doesn't, tags, adding on, and it's constantly morphing. And then I string those together, and that becomes the hour. So the old hour starts to fall away, and I start putting in new pieces as I tour. So by the end of the tour, you have this brand new hour that then you run over and over and over toward the end of the tour, and then you tape it.
Right.
So
So when you tape the Amazon Prime special, none of that's written down. You just get up there and you remember it all because you've just honed and honed and honed it.
That is not written down.
Wow.
Like the jokes are not written out in full anywhere. There might be like a set list that just says like, you know, the millennial, Gen Z, thigh meat, paper, like just words that just
shower sex.
That look like a cryptic serial killer list, but it's just that set list and the order, and I see the order in my head. And I do it, but it's not written down anywhere, which is, so I write a lot of jokes, but I also forget a lot lot of Like we have this one.
As you get older, you will forget more.
I'm feeling it, and I believe you. But it's difficult because you try to record yourself, but like I have this one joke that other people on my team, they're always like, remember the Las Vegas joke? We loved it. And I'm like, I don't. Like I can't. It was so good. And I did it for like 6 months, and now I can't. I'm like asking my husband, I'm like, what did I say about like I would like look to him as my vault.
Right.
Because it's gone.
Right.
I should write it down.
I love also the way that you're constantly reaching out to the audience and making them feel so involved. It's so interesting, and also it's not very common to see that. I think you see it more with male comedians than with female, maybe. But I just love that dialogue you have going with them because it feels so spontaneous and like you're highly intelligently in the moment, and it's just exhilarating.
This is the interview I've been waiting for. Like, this is all I want, is to sit with like two women who are smarter than me.
Well, I don't think I'm smarter than you, though. I am. I just want to. We've made a welcome. A welcome.
This looks like a
for
puzzle.
you.
It is kind of a puzzle because we were so inspired by. I can't even remember. I will never remember the name of the Meghan Markle show on Netflix. It's not called.
Oh, the brand is called As Ever. It's a lot of just 2-word.
I'm working on my own brand because actually that is honey that comes from, because I do have a beehive that is.
That's
but
your
I was
honey?
like, yeah, it is. Isn't
She has 8 acres she ploughed with clover.
a little bit
Start your
of a
own
nerd.
brand.
I have a little bit. Well, you
Start
know,
your own Instagram.
Bees, come on.
Samantha's bees.
It has to be Bees. She's the
Bees.
Yes.
I was wondering what is the most bland name I could have for my business.
Bees.
I was like,
Sam's Honey.
was once something like that.
Was
It's
once.
good.
What even is that?
I
Was
don't know.
once?
It doesn't mean anything. It's just 2 words together that mean nothing.
Oh my God. I love Was Once.
It's
Oh, you mean
Not
as
now.
ever was once?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
This
Now
was
I
As Ever was once.
Okay, took me a bit of time to get there.
Ever once. Anyways.
Never
anyway,
again.
the point
Never
is,
again. Please
we
never
didn't
again.
That's a bad
we
one.
didn't want you to be snack free,
Yeah.
so we have some edible flowers for you.
Because we're all eating flowers now. Okay,
I
wait.
love an edible flower.
Tell me, what is your Joanna Coles story? You have a
It's
secret.
basically, so I met you because you had the bold type,
Yep.
which you produced, but it was based on your life, in publishing. And I met you when I was at Freeform because I had, for 6 episodes, my own late night show on Freeform.
And Carrie Burke introduced us.
Yes. And look, Carrie Burke, love Carrie Burke. And I remember meeting you, and I was so interested in the way you comported yourself because you have this posh British accent, right? This RP accent, and you're so successful, and you worked in publishing for Hearst, and you just seem so powerful to me. And so we ended up pitching a show that didn't go anywhere, but we had to deal with Happy Madison, and we pitched this as a TV show. And it was about a woman. This was years ago, before anyone else did it, about who ran a wellness brand. So it wasn't based on you, like Joanna Cole, like with me knowing nothing about you. But I was like, I want to play a woman who like skis and and goes to Davos, but like secretly like eats garbage, but like has a health food brand. It has like a wellness brand.
Well, yeah, I do eat garbage.
I wanted it to look like so it was her, but it was her boss. Her boss was the one who would always like put her in a place, and the boss was just strong and just would be like, you're not invited. Like just kind of like we're having a meeting behind closed doors about you. Goodbye. And like just like the woman you want to be, impenetrable, austere, strong, educated, impeccably tailored suits. This is having met you twice. I was like, I'm going to design a whole show around what I think she is.
Oh, did you hear that? Did you? I just
know.
want that running on my Instagram
Yeah.
at all
know.
times. Well,
Short
it's
hair,
very exciting.
$400 haircut at minimum, just expensive.
Minimum.
That's so funny
Yeah.
because I do feel like
I think
in
I've
our-
gone all red
in
now.
our
I feel like
last-
I've gone red
No,
because
you-
I'm
yeah.
like blushing.
You
In
still
our
look
last
porcelain.
episode, I called Joanna a street rat because I also feel like a street rat. Like I feel like there's the undercurrent of this conversation is how hard we all work. We work
Yep.
so hard.
That's the first time I sat down.
And
all day.
nobody
yeah.
sees it because
Nobody
they
sees
see
it.
they think, oh, she just gets up there and
Yeah.
talks for an hour, and I bet I could do that. I'm sure so many people watch that and think I could do that.
Yeah, you make it look effortless.
Well, we watch gymnastics. I'm like, I could do that.
I can do
Right,
that.
I could do
That's-
that. That's part of the art of it.
Yeah.
For whatever you do, singing, like when you watch like Celine Dion, that's a random reference, like or Whitney Houston, I always think of like the music just falls out of her mouth, and so
Right.
you're like, I could sing that. It is about
Yeah,
making it look.
yeah,
when you see
effortless.
models walk, you're like, oh, what's the art to it?
Yeah.
But to do it well, there is an art to it, and especially stand-up, which is largely consumed in the dark with a 2-drink minimum. It's not graceful to a less discerning eye, but there really is like a metaphysical, almost mathematical art to inflection and intonation and the way that you're speaking and to whom you're speaking, like knowing your audience and when to make certain jokes and to ride the energy waves.
Right, the energy waves.
And comics
yeah.
that have done it a while get that, and it took me a long time to get that because for the first 10 years you're just hitting them and hoping that this next joke works.
Right.
And it takes a lifetime to like master that.
When do you think that you like stood in your true voice? Do you remember like when you were like, oh wait, I think this feels right. What I'm talking about feels so right now.
I think it's more the response that I got versus me being like, and what I'm saying now is important.
Right.
Because that's not your voice.
Right.
It was more, I had my thoughts and I never thought that I thought they were funny, but I didn't think anything that I was saying about women and the way we should feel and standing up for women, I didn't think what I was saying was new information. So I always think if I'm thinking it, other women must be feeling this because there's no way I'm so special that like these thoughts, like I'm the only one to think about being an individual or being a feminist or wanting safety for women or whatever it is. And then it started to become, I was just being honest up there because I was raised to speak your mind and no one had ever told me to sit down.
Right.
And so then the feedback started to become this very feminist message. And then I kind of just leaned into it. And I had never used the word feminist growing up. It just wasn't a part of a conversation with my peers, whatever. But we were feminists in that we were educated, going for our goals, not lowering our hand in class. Just it wasn't a conversation because we
We're just living it.
We
You're
were just living it.
Yeah.
And you had bad experiences with boys, whatever, but it never occurred to me that a boy should get something that I wasn't getting, because I didn't see myself as boys versus girls. Like, we were all striving for things. And I wish that for all women, but so the feedback started to become that I was saying these things. So I was just like, well, here's more of it.
Right.
And so in this special, I think especially having had these 2 kids, I'm just like, now you can't tell me nothing. And I am going to say it. And now I'm older, so I can definitely say it. In a way that when you're younger, you're like positing these messages, but it's like, okay, well, you're still like a young girl. And even though I'm 42 and I could be older, I feel like I get a lot more than I did in the last special. Like, I just get certain truths and I feel them in a certain way that I didn't before.
Did you sense, because I did sense this when I had kids, that your time is worth more to you and you kind of work more efficiently? Do you feel that at all? Like you...
Yeah, especially because your kids are little.
They're
Yeah.
little.
I think I struggle. Like, I always want to give people the time of day. And so I get a lot of emails from, and this is like local shows, like people that want you on their show. You know, a lot of like, hey, I'm running the show. Can you do this? Can you do this?
Okay.
I never want anybody to feel bad for having reached out, because I know how it feels when you reach out to a celebrity or someone wanting just a little bit of sunshine and they just don't. So that consumes a lot of my time.
Okay.
It's not about being liked. It's about really just, I do always have the bandwidth to like be nice, write back. But in terms of...
That's impressive. You're going to,
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be hard to do that after this Amazon Prime special.
I
And
mean,
you're going to be inundated with people, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's only so many shows, and the truth is, if you manage it, you do have the time, but I think a version of what you're asking is I try to avoid things that I think will be painful. Like, if I don't want it, like if that meeting sounds awful and it's just a hand job of a meeting, like I just, you know what, I don't need this and I'm not going to. Just really trying to avoid certain gigs, certain things. If the city is not a great gig, like I don't need to. We don't need to route it with Buffalo. Like, we don't have to go to some weird hot spring and do a theater of 1,500. I try to remember how miserable I've been when I've pushed myself to do things that I didn't want to do.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right.
I still feel like that now, that every now and then I think to myself, you know what, I actually don't have to do this.
I actually don't have to do that.
Right, because
Yeah.
there's a period in your life where you're saying yes to absolutely everything because you know it's all cumulative.
And I do feel like I'm still in that in a
Okay.
way, because
Right.
you do kind of have to take chances and take those meetings and do that.
Right.
But to get to that place, that Joanna Coles, I wrote a character about place. I want to get to that
Just,
place.
this is so exciting for me. This
I
is
know.
so
I'm
exciting.
getting
I'll get you
glowing.
the
Just beside
pilot.
myself, I'm going to just put it
This is you
everywhere.
beside yourself?
Yes, this is very exciting.
Just to get to that place where you're like, not only do I not have to, but I don't feel I'm not going to have any anxiety about having missed out.
Right.
Because I
Right,
know
right.
it's bullshit.
Yeah.
Right,
so
right,
so
right.
there's a bit, my favorite bit in the show is where you run into this fantastic looking guy from Kansas and you do his wife who's coming in and you go into this kind of animal. Yes, you're slightly doing it now. It was so, I've just never seen anything like it.
Thank
And I
you.
was like, this is so good. And yet when I saw it, it felt very familiar to me, like
Yes.
because I understood exactly what you were trying
You
to
know what I'm talking
articulate.
about.
Yeah, exactly. It was so good and
Thank you.
and refreshing and new.
Thank
and
you.
just new.
I love ugliness, and I never get to talk about it.
Right.
And as a woman, if you're an attractive woman, making yourself ugly is not something that we do often. And you think of, like, I think of like Kristen Wiig, and she plays that character Judith, who's got like the giant forehead and the little,
Yeah.
you know, stuff like that. Ugliness, ugly characters, I've always gravitated toward them. I always wanted to be a creature, an old witch lady. I love embodying these because there's such humor from that, and it's so freeing because you're not worried about
Yes.
Right.
being
Am I attractive?
attractive.
Yeah.
And a lot of my stand-up is ugliness. It's the ugly side of women, the ugly side of men, ugly characters, a woman with a hump, just really getting into that because you can't offend anyone because no one really looks like that. And so we all get to, even someone who is ugly, we all get to laugh at this made-up character. And I love embodying that because there's just such a freedom that we as women don't get to experience.
Right.
Even when you're scrubby and you're in your sweatpants, like you still maybe put the bun up and want to look kind of nice. So we're always having to answer to that, to being, I hate this, like fuckable, to look, you know, are you attracting someone? Are they judging you? But when you're ugly, when you get to be these ugly characters, like all I want to do is play a monster in a movie.
Right.
All I want to do is hunch over and be hideous. because there's such freedom in it.
There's total freedom in it. And you know what's interesting is like you're too young for this, but when you start to enter like perimenopause and stuff, it is a different stage of life where you kind of grapple with invisibility on a really tactile level, and it'll be I wait the like dozens of comedy specials that you're going to do.
That you are going to do.
You're not the first woman to say that. Like, I can't wait till you go through menopause so you can write about it.
Yeah, I think that because your voice is so clear, because you talk about, like, one of my favorite parts is kind of a long discussion about like our own beauty standards for ourselves.
Right.
And who the fuck are we really trying to impress when men just like generally don't care if you are wearing, like, they're not really looking at the heels on your shoes. They really don't care. They really just want to have sex with you.
Yeah.
And you can pretty much look any old way and they will still want to have sex with you. So what are we actually, why are we actually why are we torturing ourselves?
I mean, because when I was younger, I would always hear women who were older, and as I get older, I'm like, you really do need to listen to your elders. Like, as I'm stepping into these roles, I'm like, when you're younger, you're like, I got it. Like, I don't need to hear about your kids, like your older experiences, because when you're younger, you know everything. But I would always hear women say, women dress for other women. But when you're 26, it's like, no, you're not.
Right.
You're dressing to attract men. If you're straight, right? That's what you're dressing for. And so, you know, you've got your boobs out and like you're doing that. And then as I got older, I was like, actually quite recently, I was like, oh, yeah, I want to look nice with those ladies because we judge. Not even in a bad way, but it just tells me stuff about you.
Right.
And your priorities.
Right.
And I'm a pretty, like, I'm doing a press tour now, so like I put on these nails, but I'm a very casual, the way you see me on stage is the way I am kind of person. And what I've really noticed is it is about your priorities, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to look immaculate when you go somewhere. But it's about where you place your value. And because I get so much from being funny and stand-up, I am fine to go to the grocery store.
Right.
I guess I don't go to the grocery store. My husband goes. But I'm fine to go somewhere with no makeup because this precedent, I'm like, I'm not a model. I'm not trying to convince you that I am. And so if you see that I have sunspots, I guess you're going to have to get over it. Like, I just...
Brooke Shields, she literally writes
very
about
well.
it in her last book, which is like...
Well, you did a very good interview with her on Choice Words.
People want to meet the Brooke Shields from Blue Lagoon, and then she shows up and she's like a real three-dimensional person. She's a real human being. And she talks about how sometimes she walks into a room and people are literally crestfallen because she just looks like... she's just like a normal, very beautiful woman who is incredibly famous.
But not super smart, Brooke Shields.
Not from a movie.
But not from a movie.
But I think that also has to do with, because there's a difference between like civilian experience versus celebrity experience.
Yes,
right. And even though I'm not famous, I would put myself in the category of someone in the public eye. And the expectation that you are imprinted, and especially for someone who's had a career as long as Brooke Shields, like you're imprinted in their minds as that child, that character, that actor. People are endlessly disappointed that I'm not taller.
I thought that when you came in, I was like, God.
Because
I
on
really
your screen,
thought she
I'm
was
the
hoping,
biggest thing there.
Right.
But I'm like, nope, just a very average height person. Perhaps I give off like a tall energy. But then I like feel bad. I'm like, I'm sorry. Is there anything?
I know you're already disappointing.
Yeah.
And
usually they don't see, it's usually my voice that comes and then the recognition. Because I usually just travel with no makeup and a baseball hat, and they hear it or they recognize my dog. And then my face comes last.
Right.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
People always think I'm going to be mean to them. And then they're like, oh, you were normal.
But
like,
you're not.
Yeah, like
Well,
I'm
you're quite
normal.
mean.
But
You're
you're
quite
not
mean
mean
to
I
anymore.
know.
That's because you're smart. And you dare to try.
They're just daring to
I get
try.
that too,
Daring
and
to
it's
try.
hurtful.
Daring
It's
to
hurtful,
try.
right?
Daring to try, daring to get out of bed,
Yeah.
to do a job, to do
Yeah.
it well, and to do it on your own terms.
Yeah.
You're deemed all of these things. I mean, someone once called me difficult, and I was like, because I asked you to pronounce my last name correctly.
Right.
And there is a set of standards, and people talk about this, but for women, there is an anger at women who dare to try anything, whether it is wearing those pants, having children, not having children. Anyone who deviates from an expectation, you're vilified for it.
Can you think of an
Yeah, it's
example? I
interesting.
can think of a really direct example of someone who I think, like I watched a studio rehearsal of Pink once. She came to the Daily Show and I worked there, and she was so direct with everybody. She was so direct with the sound people, like in a way that I actually think that I had never seen a woman be before.
Give us an example. What do
She
you mean?
wasn't at all. She wasn't at all mean. She was just direct in the way that a male rock star would be. She was like, "I can't hear myself. I need the sound turned up. No, that's not it. I
Yes.
need it. I need this. I need this. I need this." And it was like, actually, totally professional. It was but it was so instructive to me. I was like, she can get what she wants from people. She's direct. She's not trying to people please here because she knows what she needs in order to do the best performance for everybody. So it's a service to herself and everybody.
Yeah. It's efficient.
It's efficient, and it was perfectly polished and professional. And it was incredibly instructive about how you can be a civil person and get what you need and what you want.
So you're labeling it as civil because you're also a host. So you have also done those sound checks. You've had to come to the center stage and you've had to do a similar version.
Yes.
And so as a strong, intelligent woman who is not a bitch, you just
No.
want to get it done.
You want to
Right.
get it done.
And so you look at that and you're like, absolutely. But a regular person might look at that and be like, well, she wasn't smiling.
100%.
I
She didn't
vibrate
say
with that.
please.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she didn't say please. And like, that also could be her team, but she also does that sound check. Probably doesn't do her own, but still hundreds and hundreds. So she
Hundreds.
knows.
She knows.
I feel that way if for some, like obviously I have a tour manager who does it, but if I come there, I'm like, here's what I need in the wedges, here's what I need it bumped down to.
Yeah.
And it's just me waiting for that. And you don't have to be mean about it, but there is something, and even as women sometimes, and I love that you felt that about her, I always have to check myself when I reflexively don't like a woman, because I have to be like, is it because you're jealous? Is it because she did the thing you wanted to do? Like,
Interesting.
did she really do anything wrong?
That's so interesting. Can you think of an example? Like, I mean, I point to that example. It happened so long ago, but
I
it
have
was
an
it
example
helped me.
like that, 'cause
I
It
love
helped
Pink.
so much.
Oh, she's fantastic.
She's
I love Pink
incredible,
too.
and like
Yeah.
that was so helpful just to see that. Did you see that out around you, and that helped you to stand in what you need better, or did you just have to learn that over time?
You have to learn it over time. I had to learn it over time, and you also learn by mistake. You know, you
Right.
learn. Sometimes you do have to plaster it on and make sure to thank every single person.
Yes,
Right.
with that smile. Yeah.
Because there will be someone who's like, well, she had an attitude. Just because you advocated for yourself, you can't have a bad day. And there is a civil way to go about it, but I think if you're lucky to have a long career, and you only get a long career by doing the work and actually having a voice, and we talked about this,
Yeah.
to surround yourself with people who get you,
Right.
so that you can be more efficient. If you're doing a talk show or something, you don't have the time to handhold. And also, it's a great lesson as a younger girl to like grow a thick skin.
Right.
It is not personal. It rarely is personal.
Yep.
And I always have to relearn that lesson, because I always think like I've hurt like someone's mad at me, and it's like, no, they're off their meds. Like, it's not you. And so it's hard because you want to be liked.
Well, and also I think you want to get better, and you don't. I think women take failure more personally, or take criticism more personally. But I'm sure there are lots of young women who look at you and think, I want to do that. I could do that. So your message to them is to say you just have to keep doing it every day. Every day, just be out there doing it.
You have to do the work.
You have to do the work.
I did a documentary. It's on Amazon. It was from a while ago. It's called Over and Over, and it is about the hours that go into you do it over and over. You do it when you're sick. You do it when you're heartbroken.
Right.
Good day, bad day.
Right.
Because you have to love the work. If you are not in love with the art that you're doing or the work that you're doing, you won't go far. And so I do think we see a lot of that, where someone did something, it hit on social media, and now they're just like, I guess I'm the person that puts the ham on the bread now. And you're just like this robot. So you have to not be able to function without it.
Right.
Like when the pandemic hit and I couldn't do stand-up, it was like weird, because that was the one consistent thing in my life for so long. But I'll get up at a bar, I'll get up in an arena, I'll
Right.
get up at a jazz club. Like, it doesn't matter, because I always have
you
to
love it.
I remind myself how much I love the work.
Yeah.
I love that. Actually, that's the most. I feel like a career and a life and an art form that is totally portable. Like, you've made this portable business that wherever you go, that business goes, and you can do that anywhere. And you
Just need a
always,
microphone.
you just need a microphone.
Sometimes you don't even get one.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and also what's nice is at your stage too, at this stage, A, you've got tons of runway left, but B, you're being really appreciated and feted for it, which is also nice, and given the platform,
Thank
right?
you.
Because there are a lot of people who probably feel like they would like the platform you have, and you've I'm not saying you in any way you don't deserve it, but what's great is you finally got the platform. So now you can sort of think about what you're going to do next.
I appreciate that because I feel like I don't. So
You
I'll
have
take
a
that.
huge Amazon Primetime special, which when I go on Amazon Prime is the first thing that comes
Good,
up.
because I was wondering about that algorithm, and I was wondering if it hit for everyone.
It definitely comes
But
up.
you know, I think as artists too, we're always striving at like, well, why can't I have this other thing that seems so easy for other people? Why can't I fill this tour, this arena, this thing like quicker? And you see people just skyrocketing past you, and I see people who have been doing it less, and they are at places now that I worked my whole career to get to. And so it's not an anger, but it is just abject, constant disappointment. And so that also fuels this constant drive.
Right, constant drive. The drive is so interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, the drive. Yes.
I mean,
It doesn't go away.
like
Unfortunately.
a prey drive, like a beast,
Like a beast
of the week.
Like
like a weak beast.
of the week. Yeah.
A weak beast. The beast of the week.
Beast of
Not
the
a
week.
weak
You are
beast.
Beast of the Week.
I want to call
There've
the
only
special
been
Beast of the Week.
22 of
Oh
them.
my God, your next special should be just called Beast,
Beast
of the
of
Week.
the Week.
It could be, yeah, totally
that
different
word.
animal.
Oh, it's
Beast. You're a beast.
I fucking should have
so
called it that.
good.
I'm really regretting it now.
No, that's the next one.
Oh,
We're
it's the
logging
next one. It's
Don't
the next
take it.
one.
Don't take
Don't
it.
take
You
our
gotta
idea.
you gotta get the Instagram handle right now. Just
Yeah,
go
you do.
grab it.
At
I
Beast.
really need some honey, actually.
Oh, great. Well, you can drink that
I'm,
whole jar.
I'm
gonna be dry
struggling there.
bread.
I can't sort of reach it.
No, it's too. You're trapped. You're trapped.
I'm
behind
trapped.
your
I'm trapped
microphone.
behind
It never
microphone.
comes out in the right amount you want. It always over drips and then it's sticky.
Yeah,
100%.
why haven't you bought one of those wooden things with
I
like...
don't. I am not that organized. I am not that
You
organized.
actually are quite organised. You say you're not
pretty
organised, but
organised.
you
Where
are
is the
organised. You've got
font?
flowers.
Is
I
this
don't have
upstate New
I
York?
don't have my honey dripper. I don't have.
Honey
God,
dripper, that's
Jesus.
Is it in
It's called
Hudson?
honey
Is that where
dripper.
you don't can't give your address, but is this like an upstate? Is this a Vermont
I'm going to give you
farm?
a drive. I'm going.
Yes.
She lives at.
I
no,
have
I'm
like
not
a
gonna
little.
do
We have a
that.
house. We bought a house 1 hour outside of the city. We can't, because we. I mean, Joanna does not want me to continuously bring this up, but we did grow up in Canada, so we always, when we moved to New York, we were like
51st state?
Yeah, with 51st state.
51st
We were
state,
always like,
yeah.
we need a place that
I think
has
you
trees.
should run for governor of Canada. You'd be a good governor.
Governor
Is that a thing?
Governor of Canada. You'd be great as governor of Canada.
Yeah, I think the Canadians will really warm to that idea.
She's like,
think
as a
it's-
British person, I don't pay attention to our colonies.
We don't know what our colonies are up for. Yeah, we
Maybe
don't
run
know.
for something more local, perhaps not in Canada.
I love the work that I do. I find
Yeah.
it very satisfying. I love to talk about menopause and
Yeah,
do
you'd be governor of
podcasts. It's very-
menopause.
Oh, that would be good. I think it's very. I actually want to go back to something you were talking about, because, like, I have that too. It's actually very challenging to like look around and see the spectrum of people who are working
Yeah.
and where they are in that, and how do you settle that in your own self? Like, what is helpful to you as an exercise?
I'm not good at it.
Okay.
So I'm not going to sit here and pretend. I'm not going to give you these aphorisms like, you just have to love yourself. Like,
Yeah.
that's a lie.
Yeah.
I always return to the work.
Yeah.
Always having a project that you're hopeful for.
Right.
Always having a role that I can envision myself in. Writing. I wrote a movie. I wrote Good on Paper. That's on Netflix. And that movie was special to me, not just because I lived it and it was a crazy story, but because every time I didn't get the role,
Okay.
every time I didn't get the thing that they promised in the meeting, every time I didn't get a second season of a show that I poured my heart into,
Yeah.
I would return to that document and I would fantasize and I would write, and I could have all the control I wanted
Yeah.
in that document and on stage. Stand-up is a meritocracy. I don't need an executive to greenlight it. I can just do
Right,
it, and the
right.
audience dictates. And like our special launched yesterday, and I was having a really hard day. It was just not going mentally the way that I had hoped. And it was supposed to be this very special day, like a Christmas morning thing. And it just, for some reason, this time around, I just felt very bad. And I dropped in at the Cellar, and I just got to do 15 minutes. And it was like this reminder of like, that's what you do.
Right.
But this
That's
is,
why you feel better.
This is also very helpful because it's those moments which are built up in culture, and you think, oh, this is going to be, as you say, a Christmas morning. My specials dropped on Amazon. It never feels like
No.
what you think it's
Oh,
going to
good.
feel
It's not
like.
just
Right?
me.
No,
Okay.
it's absolutely.
Good.
I feel like whenever one has moments like that are supposed to be iconic moments, it never ends up feeling like that.
And I really appreciate that you said that it wasn't a great day. I mean, I wanted
I know.
it
I
to
wish
have
that
been
you
a
had
great
come
day.
out. I wish we could have done this yesterday so we could have cheered you up.
Actually,
No, it's so bad.
I actually love talking about when things are hard and when things are disappointing. It's very difficult, actually, because often the public only wants to talk about like the celebrate. They're like, you must be you must be you must feel amazing right now. And often those moments that everybody is projecting onto are actually like kind of dark, and
They don't see how it's made.
They don't see like like how the sausage was made.
There's also, and I don't know, having had your own show, if you carry this with you, or how many times before you had that, I know you were a correspondent, you tried to get your own show, but I'm very good at compiling a list of reasons why I've been wronged. And a list of reasons all the times before were bad.
Right.
So a list of reasons of how I already know this will be awful, so why don't you guys know that already?
Interesting.
And I really do my best to like not share that. But so if one thing didn't go well, I mean, the interviews were all great. The press was great, but just feeling so bad. And I was just like, that's right. This isn't going to work because the last time they said that they would do this for you and they didn't. And I'm not going to do it again. And you're stupid to think that they will. And just, it starts to spiral.
The loop.
And you make up a story.
Loop of doom.
And because if you're an intelligent woman, because you always have to be ahead of the curve, you start to think, well, like, you have to be ahead of this. So it's not a self-fulfilling prophecy, but I'm like, I need to call it out that this isn't going to work and this isn't going to be successful because last time it wasn't. So I'm just letting everyone know that I called it, and it's like, but that's not what's happening. But your story is so important to you because if you're not right about your story, then you're not intuitive and you're not smart. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense. And I think that going back to creation, like going back to the creativity is like very instructive because that's the nut. That's the whole thing. Like the whole thing is creating something. So all of that, it's not that it goes away, but if you can go back to the pure art form,
Yes.
that's the best part. And then you can it helps release.
It's the best part.
It's the best part.
Like the day felt so. I also was like, I want this special to be as special as I can't control it. I can't control who watches it or if anyone's going to care or write about it. And we did everything. And I think in a weird way, I wanted it to drop at midnight. And by 6 a.m. when I opened my phone, I wanted to be like, it's the biggest special in the world. Everyone watched it before work.
Right.
I just had put so much pressure on it.
Okay.
Because I wanted it to, and it still can be. I mean, this is the second day, do so well. And so I just created this weird, like, personal hell all day. But it wasn't until I got on stage and did that 15 minutes that I was like, okay, that's who you are.
It's such a helpful thing to hear other people go through this.
It's
good. I'm
so
glad.
fucking helpful. I think it's the most helpful thing. Like, it is not helpful for me to hear that everybody's like perfect. I don't like it. I love hearing about it helps me feel normal to hear about difficulty.
Well, I thought it was perfect.
Yes.
I thought it was perfect.
Thank
I love
you.
doing it. I'm so
Really?
grateful you came in to talk to us.
so grateful.
You're welcome back anytime.
You guys are awesome. This is like having a real interview with real intelligent. Like this just feels so good. So thank you.
Good. Well, I wish we'd had it yesterday so we could have cheered you up.
But you know what? It's really goddamn great. It's really it's like a gem.
We
It's
need
like a
to get
real
those
gem.
pants. We need to get those pants. I want to have them made and I want to wear
Goal
You
pants.
could. You got long legs. You
can
definitely
do
could.
it.
them. Well,
I think of you as a long person.
I wouldn't be able to thank you. I wouldn't be able to button them up, but I might be
Weird.
able to.
You lace
If
it
all
up.
it takes is 4 hours of Pilates a week, I could do that.
I don't think that's all it takes.
No, I don't think that's all
I
it
think
takes
there's
either.
more to it.
In my
there's more
pilot,
to
you
it.
love Pilates and working out. You have a private trainer.
Oh my God, please send me
gotta
your
get that to you.
pilot. Okay,
I will get you the document.
You have to get that to
Yeah.
me. All right, we have to wrap up.
Yes,
We're not
thank
gonna
you.
Because
finish
you've got hundreds more interviews to do.
But none as good as this.
No,
No,
not as good as
of course
this,
not.
actually. It won't be as much fun. Sorry, but it won't. But I
sorry
do.
to tell you.
Please, can you put some honey and a flower?
I can't reach it. I'm trapped.
I know,
My
we're all
arms
trapped.
aren't long enough.
This is Pilates. It's a perfect show. I think it's perfect. If you have been, thank you for listening. And if you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, definitely comment, and I will try and respond. And Eliza might respond too. And share it with everybody you know and you don't know. As we've said before, strangers on the subway.
Keep sending those emails to beastpod@thedailybeast.com. Joanna's reading all of them.
I am reading
Drop
all
us a
of them.
comment on YouTube. Joanna's literally reading them, and she'll get
I'm
back to
engaging.
you.
I'm engaging.
It's crazy.
I know she thinks I'm mad, but I am engaging. And Eliza engages, so that's
Beast
good.
of the week.
Yep.
Beast of the Week. If you're not a subscriber to The Daily Beast, why not? It's easy to sign up. Just go to thedailybeast.com.
As my muse is once again saying, everybody get out there and be best.
Be beast.
I'm sorry.
Be beast.
Screw it up every time.
Oh.
Perfect ending.
great.
Perfect ending.
Thank
The
you so
Daily
much.
Beast.
Thank you so
Let me
much.
do one more line. One more
There we
line.
go for me.
So excited.
The Daily
It's a
Beast
really big
podcast.
deal.
Oh my God. The Daily Beast podcast is produced by Sarah Demokoff, Svea Baron-Reinstein, Jesse Cannon, and Seamus Calder, edited by Deanna Chapman, and engineered by Johnny Simon.